All right, welcome in, Hanna Time. Cornelius, Brad, Hanna, Global Sports Broadcasting Network. We're going to talk Arizona State football. Yeah, it's college football. It already started. But here in the desert, it begins. Thursday night football. A lot of home games at Sun Devil Stadium. Or do we still call it that? I'm still going to call it that, right? Anyway, Richard Saenz coming in here in a second. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man.
Let's break it down real quick as the music fades out. Richard Saenz itself from Fox 10 Phoenix, Fox Sports in Phoenix itself here in Arizona. You've been following this storyline for a while. The new era of Dillingham, the coach, a new quarterback, a freshman. His father, played here. And there's a lot of question marks in a lot of ways, but a lot of promise and hope and enthusiasm of a new era, which kind of gets out of this darkness of not playing a bowl game this year, which we'll talk about. But your stage is yours now. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing great, man. It's always good to talk to you. It's always good to talk sports with you. And it's exciting times. This time of year is exciting, right? Because the cooler days are coming. Football is right around the corner. And like you said, the college kids are kicking things off. Next thing you know, we'll have the Cardinals, maybe the D-backs in the playoffs. But this is exciting for Arizona State because it's kind of like turning over a new leaf. It's a new chapter. You're getting some young, fresh, energy when it comes to the coaching staff and even the players. So it's exciting times, I think, even though they did have a big blow not too long ago.
Okay, what about the quarterback situation, too? A lot of people scratched their heads about a week ago when they announced starting quarterback. It kind of reminded us what happened with, Coach Herman. Right?
Right.
I mean, what he did with the freshman quarterback, with Jaden himself. So here we are again, kind of similar looking quarterback. Didn't look like he had great numbers in scrimmages and things like that. But he's a freshman. So, and this was a growing pain season. Is this like mirroring the Cardinals in a way? It's kind of just to kind of get through to the next year. But speaking of Sun Devil football, especially here, the quarterback, you've watched them up in camp. I have to give you props. I've been watching all the NFL Network stuff summer long, and they're all wearing shorts. Just wasn't a good look.
Right.
And you did it right up in Arizona. All right. Anyway, how is this young guy looking for what you witnessed so far?
It's been amazing to see his transformation from the spring game to now. Because in that spring game, he looked like a true freshman. He looked like a kid that went from going to the prom to going to big time football. Because it was funny. It's like, okay, this kid, he struggled in that spring game, but there's no doubt about it. Trent Bourget was head and shoulders better than everybody else because he had more command and he had more experience. But from now, you see, I've been watching him in practice. It kind of started to click at Camp Arizona, where he had some of those deep balls that were right on the money, which is what Kenny Dillingham wants. That's his MO. That's his stamp. That's his style. So you're thinking, oh boy. And that was the one thing that Trent Bourget really doesn't excel at, is the deep ball. Now, in his defense last year, he had a hurt toe and it's hard to step into the throw. So I was thinking he could get that deep throw a little bit better this year. But when you look at arm strength and you look at raw talent and you look at, the ceilings, Jaden Rashada has a higher ceiling, obviously, and he's grown so much. It kind of reminds me, I wonder if, I don't know why it happened, but I think he was pressing a little bit when he first thing, like, oh man, I got a chance to start for Arizona State as a true freshman. And in that spring game, and he a little bit of pressure got to him. It reminds me of me when I'm golfing and I'm having a horrible round. And then I say, you know what? Forget it. I'm not even going to think about it. I don't even care anymore. And I just swing and I hit a great shot. I'm like, wait a minute. What did I just do? I think that's what he did. He's like, I'm not a starter anymore anyway. I'm just going to ball. I'm just going to play. And then also we're like, that's what we want here. Mm-hmm. And he's looked good. It's amazing. And why not see what he can do against the Southern Utah, get him some confidence, get his feet wet, give him some success, and see what happens.
All right. So this has been a lot of new faces, not just on the coaching staff itself. I'm going to give you an opportunity to help all of us out. I mean, I've been following it, but you got to see up close these guys. Give me some names. Like, some guys on defense and offense that you're going, you know what, this looks pretty good. Oh, this is nice, young guy.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of new faces that we're all gonna have to just kind of put our arms and just watch
Right.
and just kind of melt into this new program, this new era.
Yeah. Javen Jacobs, the kid from Swallow, they moved to running back. I think he's going to be a threat coming out of the backfield to catch some passes. Jalen Conyers, the tight end, is going to score a lot of touchdowns, especially when you have a young quarterback. The tight end is usually your safety blanket. And oh, by the way, this guy is more of a receiver than he is a tight end. Elijah Badger is a speedster. So the pass catchers, the skill positions are good for ASU. It's just, is the quarterback going to have enough time to get them the ball? Because I think and that's the thing, successful teams have strength on both lines, in the trenches, in the middle of the defense, whether it's O-line, linebackers, and D-line. And that's the part where I think Arizona State needs more improvement. But the skill positions are good. Jordan Clark, what are the veterans in that secondary is going to be a major player for ASU. Of course, his dad is Ryan Clark, so he has the pedigree. But I think Jalen Conyers, the tight end, is going to have a big year. And then I think might be another reason why they went with Rashada, because their O-line is a little suspect, and you want a guy that's more mobile that might be able to make some plays with his feet and be a threat to run and also buy some time in the passing game.
All right, so why start the freshman if there's a question at the offensive line? Like
because of his mobility, because he can run, because and because of his arm strength. I think that's a big thing for Kenny Dillingham is he likes the vertical passing game. And this kid has a rocket arm. And he was one of the most highly recruited kids coming out of high school for a reason. And he's earned it, not just because of the way he's been practicing and looking in practices, but because of the way he reacted when he was demoted, when he was the front runner. And then also they're like, no, you had that back spring game. All of a sudden you're working with the 2s and 3s. He did not pout once. He did not say, I'm going to go to the transfer portal. He did not say any of that stuff. He just said, you know what? I'm going to take my lumps. I'm going to practice and do the best when I get my opportunity. And then all of a sudden he started getting a little bit better. And that to me is what true leaders do. Because people will see, you find out what people are made of when things are not going well. So when he got knocked down a couple spots in the rotation, he didn't pout. And that was very impressive to me for a true freshman, especially in this day and age.
I've heard people say, don't be surprised if ASU kind of finds himself in a bowl game again, but then they announced that we won't do it. And then I said to myself, like, what happened if they actually went undefeated? Like something crazy, like, just a little thought. I don't think
make for a great story.
Do they back out? I mean, do they have control of saying, you know what, we just made it to the Final Four in football. Let's do it. Like what happens there? I mean, it's kind of like putting yourself maybe too far out, or is this like they expect not much this season? I mean, that's kind of like a two-faced kind of feel to it.
And I think that's why there was so much disappointment from the fan base, from the boosters, from the players and the coaching staff, because they had so much momentum, right? Yeah. You brought in, Kenny Dillingham, the guy from Oregon, the guy that grew up here. He's a great story. He's a great interview. And he's getting everybody riled up. And then all of a sudden you get Camp T back and then you got the good recruits, and all of a sudden, like, days before the season starts, oh, by the way, no bowl game, and like what? Yeah, and it was, the timing was interesting.
Yeah,
the bowl game thing, I'm still a little on the fence about it, because nowadays seniors don't even play in the bowl game if they're going to go to the NFL, because they don't want to get hurt. And Herm's philosophy during bowl games was, I'm going to play a lot of the younger guys because I'm going to be able to get more experience for these guys because they're going to be here next year. I'm going to get them more practices, however many more you get before a bowl game, that the seniors would take away from these younger guys anyway. I'm not sure what Kenny Dillingham's philosophy is when it comes to bowl games, but that's a philosophy that a lot of coaches have, where the bowl game doesn't matter anymore. It's not the same as it used to be, at least.
All right, 7 home games, right? A nice home schedule. A couple of big games, Oregon, USC, Oklahoma State. That's nice to have in your backyard, right? I think Colorado, with Deion Sanders' team coming in, like this is a pretty nice little homestand for the season for the Devils itself. And you hope they can at least be a 500 team at home against some pretty good football teams coming in here, and not knowing what are the Sun Devils were about. We'll learn a little bit here in the first couple of games. I think Oklahoma State will get a good vibe after playing a couple of schools that are not really highly profile schools, right? So,
Right.
but talk about the 7 games at home, and obviously Arizona at the end of the year, but at home. But that's a benefit, right, for a young team, a new beginning. I hope. I think I see it that way.
Yeah, the home games help to kind of, rile up the Sun Devil Nation, so to speak. And then, this first game, right, Southern Utah is almost like a preseason game, but then you get Oklahoma State in week 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to have to kind of hit the ground running. I think they're going to be exciting. The things that concern me when it comes to this team is their ability to stop the run with their interior defense when it comes to D-line and linebackers. And that's a major concern. And so I think they're going to be exciting. I think there's going to be some growing pains, but I think they're gonna make some noise, and they're going to be in games offensively. But I just wonder if they're going to be able to stop the other teams.
And how valuable is this season to go into the next conference? We're looking down the road a little bit here, to have a successful year, have a good run for recruiting purposes too, because that's going to help when So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's going to help. I really do. I think Kenny Dillingham already recruits Texas heavily. So going to the Big 12, I think, is actually going to be a benefit for Arizona State. And I know a lot of people think, oh, if they were struggling in the Pac-12, how are they going to compete in the Big 12? Well, call Texas A&M and ask them how they did when they went from the Big 12 to the SEC. People said, oh, they could barely win in the Big 12. Well, you get more money, you get more exposure, and then you recruit kids and say, you're not playing in the Pac-12, you're playing in the Big 12. They'll be able to see you here at home in Texas. They'll be able to watch you on TV. Your parents don't have to come all the way to Arizona. So I think this could be a blessing in disguise for Arizona State.
So some of these road games that you're looking down the road a year from now, are you looking forward to some college campuses that you've never visited before? I mean, it's that's a new experience even for the fan base to get on the road and go see new places where they're always comfortable going, on the West Coast, and maybe you get a couple Midwest games or something like that once in a blue moon. But this is a nice experience for the fans. It may cost a little more to go maybe to Central Florida, down in the Tampa area. Right. I mean, that's a long haul, but they have to come this way also. Go to Florida. Go to Tampa, hang out.
Go to Texas. Yeah, so it's going to be fun. I think this is going to be a positive for them. It was just interesting how it all went down. And, I think a lot of people were worried about, Arizona leaving ASU and them separating. There was no way the Arizona Board of Regents was ever going to let that happen. And it wasn't like ASU was against moving. They were just loyal to the Pac-12 to a fault, where Arizona was the first to kind of say, okay, this ship is sinking. We better start flirting with the Big 12 and find out. And people made it sound like the Big 12 didn't want ASU. That's not the case. Why would the Big 12 say, oh, we don't want the 5th largest TV market in the country? They just knew ASU wasn't interested first. So they said, well, we'll flirt with Arizona and then ASU will follow, And so that's how that played out.
All right. Big game, Thursday night football, Southern Utah, Arizona State. Last question before we get out of here on this topic with Arizona State football is, what is a successful season for this 2023 Arizona State football team?
I think a 500 to a winning record. I think showing some flashes of high octane, right, to take a page out of Todd Graham's book, high-powered offense, and showing some big play capabilities, and showing Jaden Rashada is the real deal and was highly recruited for a reason. I think I think they should win big against Southern Utah. They better win big against Southern Utah. And I think we're going to see some plays where you're like, whoa, this Jaden Daniels kid's pretty good. But they're also be like, whoa, he's also pretty young. And then it's nice to have a guy like Trent Bourget, who is such a good person and a great teammate and as a safety net. So if things get a little off the rails for Jaden, you got to say, okay, sit this one out, these next couple series or whatever. Let's let this guy come in and right the ship like he did last year. That's not a bad scenario either.
Right. All right. 7:00. Arizona State Sun Devil football Thursday night. Going on out there.
Jaden Rashada era begins. Kenny Dillingham. Here they go.
All right. Richard Saenz from Channel 10, Phoenix, Fox Sports, the legend. All right, buddy.
Thanks,
we'll talk
man.
to you. You got it.
Anytime.
There he is, Richard Saenz. All righty, folks. That's an ASU preview of 2023 with the local guy, Richard Saenz, who is all over this Arizona State football team all summer long. And we're looking forward to the opening night, Thursday night football, Sun Devil style. Let's go.